Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of the After the Match show. The new show we're doing on the Football Suite. It was done previously, but we're bringing it back now. We've got regulars on, Andrew and Ben. How are you guys doing?
Good, thanks, man. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Pretty good, but I can imagine you two are doing better considering the match that we're going to be discussing is the Arsenal 3-0 win over Manchester United on the weekend. Really just blitzed United before I feel that United had any response. And then, as we discussed on the on WhatsApp, really sort of discipline from Arsenal as well, which I think that has been lacking for the last couple of seasons. What did you guys think of the match? What was your initial thoughts? I mean, obviously it was pretty intense first 10, 15 minutes.
I'll let Andrew go first.
All right. So to sum it up, basically, it was the perfect performance, in my opinion, from Arsenal. It was a very quick attack, straight in, goals, 3 goals done, 20 minutes. But that isn't, for me personally, from my past watching Arsenal, that wasn't the impressive bit. The impressive bit was the fact that they just, 45 minutes, half-time, they come back out and they just killed it. Like, there was just no, obviously Man United had chances, of course, but that's going to happen.
Yeah, but I never thought United were pretty particularly, looking comfortable. They always seemed to trying to push, but they didn't really have that in the final third. And I think that was really impressive of Arsenal, the way that they defended. A lot of the time with them pacey wingers, that some of them are bombing forward. They really knew what to do. Yeah,
definitely. That's exactly what you're saying there. You hit the nail on the head then when you said about the Man United were under pressure because the midfield was pushing so much, putting so much pressure on them, trying to just kill the game, that United thought when they get the ball they have to keep it but get upfield because they're 3-0 down. And I think Arsenal just did it perfectly, the way they just shut Man United out and just said it's going to take something to score a goal. And unfortunately for Man United, they didn't have it.
Yeah, and also, like I said, as a neutral, it was odd seeing, because when you see the way that United have been playing this season, you expected a bit more from them. But I feel that by the time that they probably had enough time to actually settle and think, the game was over.
That game was won in the first 15 minutes. But after Olympiacos on Tuesday, I put it up on my Facebook page. I got slated. I was not one bit confident waking up yesterday morning. And I put it up on Facebook. I'm not confident. And then after the first 15 minutes, I was just like...
Couldn't believe what you were watching.
I had no reason not to be confident. Yesterday was just a perfect day. Harry Kane scores an own goal as well. That just capped it off. Everybody to a man yesterday was absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't really remember what happened over the weekend other than the Arsenal match, so I'll leave it there. But
yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think it's best. But I think it was a really good performance, like all round. But I think particularly Ozil, because he's had a lot of stick recently. And do you think that showed what he could do? Do you think it silenced a few of his critics, and not just critics from like fans of different clubs, but I know a lot of Arsenal fans have been putting a bit of criticism his way. Andrew, what do you think about that? Do you think this could be the match where he sort of gets a bit of form going and really just pushes on?
I think Mesut Ozil is such a difficult one to kind of say, because as an Arsenal fan, I don't see how he's bad. If you know what I mean. I understand what people are saying when they're like, he's not a massive performer in big games, but he never has been.
Yeah, he's one of those players that's a silent performer, isn't he?
That's what I mean. So I'm so surprised when people are like, oh, I'd rather have Dimitri Payet than Mesut Ozil. It's like, what are you talking about? You're a guy who's done well at West Ham against Mesut Ozil, who's won the World Cup.
Yeah. Also, do you think that could be a sort of... I mean, a lot of fans have said it, but do you think it could be a sort of like an... how can I word it right? Do you think they're expecting too much from Mesut Ozil? Do you think they're expecting 20 goals a season just because Sanchez does? Like, do you think that...
That's really true. That I think there's way too much expectation on him of what they think he can do. Like Ozil's not supposed to score 20 goals a season. People who've watched him over his career know that. They're like, well, yeah, of course he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Neither's Petr Cech, you know what I mean? No one's going to be like, yeah, score 20 goals.
Yeah, but also you've got to realise with like Petr Cech as well, you know, he's not going to get 30 clean sheets where in a league where it's not very attacking or stuff like that, you potentially could, you know. And also the Mesut Ozil that people are comparing him to is the one who played for one of the best teams in the world, and
Ronaldo, Di Maria, Benzema.
Exactly, and also had those players in front of him. So when the team's sort of only standpoint is the attack, you're going to get opportunities like that. Where in the Premier League, we all know anyone on their day can deal with you. And I think we saw that with, like, we've seen that with Chelsea this season. We've seen it when Mata was at Man United last year. It's okay being able to put the perfect ball in, and we've seen so many players doing it. But unless you've got someone on the end of that knows what you're going to do. And you remember, obviously, the player that was playing striker with him as well had been out for a year. You know, Mesut Ozil hasn't been here for 4 or 5 years. You know, he needs time to settle in. I think a lot of fans need to sort of give him that time, you know, because... Yeah, go ahead.
What I think is Mesut Ozil hit the ground running, and he had a sensational first 6 months. And then he went off the boil. And I think that people compare him to that first 6 months. And you have to give a player the chance to gel. Obviously, with Sanchez, it's completely different. That guy is just unbelievable. But with Ozil, he's after coming into a new league, and he's going to need time to adapt. A lot of Ozil's critics come from the defensive side of the game. Ozil does not defend, and I'll hold my hands up and I'd say Ozil, if you look at that attempted block against Olympiacos, that sums up Mesut Ozil's defending. But going forward, I will always say Mesut Ozil is the best attacking midfielder in the world. Ever since he ripped England apart in the World Cup in 2010, I've said it since that day. But if you look at when he was at Real Madrid, he had no reason to be a defensive-minded attacking midfielder, if you get me.
Of course, exactly. And also with a lot of the La Liga play, a lot of the time you don't have to, because there's not a lot of people on the attack. A lot of it's counter-attacking football, and there's just one player going on that run.
Exactly. But if you look at how many teams would actually counter-attack Real Madrid, I think Barcelona are the only team that would try and counter-attack, maybe Atletico Madrid.
Exactly.
But if you've got a front four of Ozil, Benzema, Di Maria and Ronaldo, are you really going to leave yourself open? So therefore, Ozil hasn't had too much experience of defending. It might sound stupid, but if you actually look at the bigger picture of when he was at Real Madrid, it actually makes more sense.
And also, Andrew, to Ben's point there, do you think that a lot of that criticism came in while you was kind of searching for that defensive midfielder, but at the moment you seem to have really found a gem in Francis Coquelin?
Well, yeah, definitely. You saw this season there was still outcry for a CDM. Like that was, for me personally, the main position people were talking about. So I think, because like Arsenal have so many number 10s that they could pick from. Like the midfield is a very number 10 orientated, very attacking one. Yeah. So, like I say, when you've got such talent going forward, you do need a strong midfield. So I think I do agree with your point, the fact that people are so happy with Ozil, but because, as Ben rightly said, he's not a very good defensive player. Yeah. So your problem is like what you're saying, there's pressure to have that strong midfield. So when someone like Ozil is going forward, there is a bit of a worry that when a counter comes against Arsenal, they are in trouble.
Yeah, and also I think what you could really see when Arsenal were on the sort of defence, I think where you looked at Sanchez and the guy doesn't stop running. And I think that's the sort of player that they need. Okay, with, for instance, Chelsea, you'll have players like Oscar and Willian trying to track back and do their defensive work. But if you've got a decent back four and you have the good midfield coming back to help you, you don't really need the centre midfield, the centre attacking midfielder and the striker to come back and do a job, because obviously Coquelin's doing well. The only problem I see is like you'll have someone like Sanchez who won't stop running, quite similar to Suarez in the way that he wouldn't let you breathe. But the other players playing in centre midfield with Coquelin, I think that's the problem at the moment. And I don't think United had enough to pressure those sort of players. So when, for instance, I know that Cazorla seems to play there quite a lot at the moment. I don't see Cazorla as the sort of player to give many counter-attacks a trouble. Do you think that could come to bite Arsenal in the sort of games where they're facing a counter-attacking team?
Personally, I'm a massive fan of Cazorla, but I would rather see Ramsey in that central midfield. Ramsey, Coquelin, Ozil sitting in front, and then with Walcott up top, Sanchez out wide. That leaves that right wing spot. And Oxlade-Chamberlain, a lot of people are saying he's not going to make it, but I disagree.
He hasn't had a lot of chances so far, has he?
Exactly. But a lot of his critics come from he turns off when other teams run the attack, he doesn't defend. If you look at Zagreb away, their first goal came from Oxlade-Chamberlain being fast asleep.
But you get that a lot with young players that are playing.
You don't get it with Hector Bellerin though.
That is true. That's true.
Hector Bellerin's phenomenal.
And also, would you say a good backup in Debussy if anything happened, or would you still like to see a bit of cover come in for him?
I want Debussy gone in the summer, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I don't. He had a brilliant start to last season, but since he's come in for Bellerin, he played.
He had quite a nasty injury as well, didn't he?
He had two bad injuries. He had what was it? The dislocated shoulder and the ankle he done against City last year at home. But the 3 games, Reading in the FA Cup last year, Tottenham in the Mickey Mouse Cup this year, and Dynamo Zagreb away. I've watched Debussy in those 3 games, and he has been disgraceful. And it just shows why Hector Bellerin is our first choice right back at the age of 19. The guy is just unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. I have to say I've been really impressed with him this season and last season as well. On to the next sort of topic that I think could be a good discussion. Theo Walcott. Were you guys happy with how he played in the match?
Yes.
Fair enough. Andrew?
Put it that way.
Yeah, 100%. He did the job he needed to do. He pressured the defence by doing his off-the-shoulder runs and stuff like that, and that's exactly what you want from him.
I think the only thing he was missing yesterday was a goal. Yesterday was the best game I've seen him play in an Arsenal shirt. Unbelievable performance. But saying that, Bellerin, brilliant. He still hasn't let the pay out of his pocket. Gabriel, Mertesacker, Monreal, Cech. Every single person that played yesterday was absolutely brilliant. Even Oxlade-Chamberlain, when he came on, he hit the crossbar, left the hair rooted to the spot.
Yeah, definitely. I have to say that there was a lot of discipline, like we said, Andrew, and it was something that you haven't really seen a lot in that Arsenal team. And that's the sort of thing that's going to win you the title. If you can play like that throughout the games, those are the things that sort of push your team on. Don't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what I was saying at the start of the show. The fact that it was such a surprise. I mean, that's not Arsenal. I've been there, and they were 2-0 up in the 80th minute and lost 3-2. You know what I mean? That's Arsenal's defence for me. Something that's very leaky and stuff. So to watch them play in a team like Man United and actually dictate and say, no, this game's over now. We're shutting it down. You're not coming back in it. That is impressive.
And also, I think it's something that's needed as well, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Do you know what I think? That United set up completely wrong yesterday. They played Schweinsteiger and Carrick in the middle. I would have went with Schneiderlin. But if you have a look at how high up Schweinsteiger was playing, he was higher than Martial most of the time. He was pressing. Rooney's finished.
Yeah, I was just about to say that onto the captain. He also hasn't had a lot of... obviously from a lot of fans, we still would have, but for the fans on social media, he hasn't been having a lot of backing. Do you think that could be sort of the few last days for Rooney? Andrew, what do you think?
Oh, I think that is a bit harsh, in all fairness. I think last few days, I don't know, like, he had a bad game, but I mean, to say the end, I think, like, it's fine that you said it, but I mean, it might be a bit premature just because I think.
No, I totally agree. Yeah,
Rooney's just in that period of his career now. I think everyone still thinks he's in his early 20s doing what he did at Man United in his peak. So I mean, like, I just appreciate the fact that he is getting older. He's not in matches enough. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not his massive fan. I don't rate him as world class or anything like that.
No, yeah.
In that up, but I appreciate the job he's done, and like, because he's been messed about in the past like 3 years with positioning.
Yeah,
like, he's been everywhere, and he does just, like, as a footballer he should, but he does just kind of get on with it. So I mean, I think he still has a massive part to play in football, but I do also appreciate the fact that he is on his way out because he has to be, just because of his age.
Yeah, but also I feel like with that United team, I think somebody had to be used as a scapegoat.
No, definitely, yeah.
And he was the perfect example. I mean, like when we saw like Mata play, you know, Mata is pointless on the wing against someone like Monreal or Bellerin. You know, wouldn't it have been more efficient to use someone who could at least give you a barge like Rooney instead of someone like Mata? And then play Mata in the middle. You know, I think there was a lot of mistakes from United from, you know, just announcing the team sheet. I don't think Ashley Young and Blind are particularly the players to have in your defence, especially against quite a pacey attacking team. And obviously,
to be honest, sorry, Leon.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't care what lineup United would have thrown out yesterday. Obviously, they went with the team they did, but they could have fielded any team, and they would not have lived with those 15 minutes. I'm still shocked and speechless. I've watched the highlights over and over and over and over again on the Arsenal player, and it's just, I don't even know what to say. No team could live with that. If we could play like that for the first 15 minutes every week, we'd waltz that league. I still don't personally think we'll win the league. But if we play like that, then 15 minutes and defend like that, obviously, I'm very shocked that we actually didn't concede a goal yesterday.
I think it was also the fact that, just from a neutral fan's perspective, I thought it was the way that the defence handled itself without Koscielny.
I don't think they had any real threat until Fellaini came on.
with his elbows.
Yeah, but height-wise, I don't think, because Gabriel, he had Martial in his pocket, and then Mertesacker didn't really have much to do. But then when Fellaini came on, obviously the height, and you start bricking yourself, obviously a header's going to come in, they're going to go long ball. But Mertesacker and Gabriel were absolutely brilliant. They didn't give them a moment yesterday.
But also, I think with United in the final third, you know, maybe if they'd have given Martial more to work with, I know, I do agree with the defence. They were really disciplined. They played superbly. You know, you couldn't fault them one bit. But I don't think Martial had a lot to work with. Do you think this is the sort of thing where you can do all you want, but unless you're sort of creating them attacking chances, nothing's going to come? And that's not just in this match. Do you think that could be a problem for United in future games, Andrew?
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly what you're saying. It's like, it's fantastic when you've got the higher percentage of possession, but when you look at the scoreboard and you're 3-0 down, you're not going to really start popping the champagne because you've won possession.
Exactly, yeah.
So you got to, like, at 3-0, like, there is the worry you're getting embarrassed, but why don't you? You would just go for it. You'd think, if we could get one, if United would have scored to make it 3-1, that would have made it a lot more tense because they would have conceded, so United would have proven they could have scored.
Yeah, and also we saw, yeah, definitely. But we also saw players like Schweinsteiger, like you said, Ben. He was playing so high up, you could tell he was sort of just, you know, come on, let's attack a bit more. But nobody else seemed to do it. Do you think that's a lack of leadership?
Yeah, exactly. Like, they've got Rooney, Carrick, Schweinsteiger, Smalling, De Gea. And many of those players could lead that team. Like, every single one of those should be opening their mouth. Schweinsteiger came from Bayern Munich. He should have had them lads pumped up and raring to go yesterday. But obviously he didn't. I'm not going to complain now. I'm just absolutely buzzing, man.
Yeah, I can imagine. But it was also, last thing we'll say on it, I think it was a poor day for Depay as well. I really feel that he hasn't sort of kicked on in the Premier League. He seems to play like really well when in the Champions League and stuff like that. But what do you think it is with him, Ben? Do you think that he's just struggling with the pace of the Premier League at the moment, or do you think he just needs time to settle? And especially in the Premier League nowadays, some players don't even get a chance to settle with the media on their back and the social media.
Depay won't have any media on his back because he plays for Man United. Let's just clear that up. If United had have signed Sanchez and he had have started off this way, if we had have signed Sanchez and he started off as bad as Depay has, do you think that the media would say nothing? They'd be all over it.
Probably not. No, fair enough.
It's the difference in playing for Man United and playing for Arsenal. The media hate you if you play for Arsenal. They love you if you play for Man United. But Depay has done absolutely nothing apart from that one game against Bruges in the first leg in the Champions League qualifier. I just think that it's going to take him time to settle. Obviously, he's come from an absolute poor league. It's a lot different than coming from Spain, from Italy, because them leagues are a lot more competitive than the Eredivisie league. I think give him the year to settle in and then go again next season.
Yeah, totally. I have to agree with that. Final thoughts on the match, guys. Amazing match, and obviously if Arsenal can play like this, they got a real chance at the title. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not an Arsenal hater, but exactly. Who are you guys' man of the match and why?
I'll let Andrew go first on that one.
Cool, fair enough.
God, that's horrible.
TikTok.
Right, Mesut Ozil, just because he showed people he can turn up in a big game.
Fair enough. Ben,
I'm going to go with Theo Walcott. Just simply because that was his best game in an Arsenal shirt. And if you're seeing my Facebook page, I criticised Walcott a lot to the end of last season because of all these contract demands. I always said I don't see him as an out-and-out striker. But in the last two games of the end of last season, the FA Cup final, and so far this season, he has proven me wrong. And I loved that so much, being proved wrong. But Theo Walcott, my man of the match for that performance yesterday.
Fair point. And as a neutral, my personal man of the match would be Francis Coquelin, because I felt that he really done his job. He didn't feel the need to roam from his position. He really stuck to his guns, and I think he played well for the full 90. But that's just mine. Thank you for coming on the show, guys. If you're interested in us doing a review of different games, please leave it in the comments. And if you're interested in coming on the show for a after the match or a Football Street chat show, please let us know. Follow us on Twitter. Andrew takes control of that. And thank you.
Thanks a lot for listening, guys.
Thanks a lot.